Planet Mission Part 1 by David Claiborne, as read by the author. New chapters every Monday. The full novel is available on Amazon.com and other online retailers. Links in the description. Chapter 9. A Panorama of Nothingness. A sweeping panorama of nothingness welcomed them to Polus. Other than the construction project, which was very much in process, the impression of Polus Bo gathered from the terminal had been correct. A vast plain covered with only scattered grasses, scrub brush, and vines. Mostly low, sharp, pitted rocks covered the surface, as if thousands of tiny bubbles had burst and left their impressions behind. Vines or creepers with what looked like seed pods grew abundantly. The plain had the brownish-gray appearance of dead grass in winter. There were no trees except for short, stunted examples in pots throughout the terminal, placed intentionally to help make new arrivals more comfortable. Tommy put on his cover as they stepped outside. "This is it?" Bo said. "It's still not quite spring here," Junebug said. "That's why everything is brown." "It's not what I expected," Jazzy said. "It's perfect," Molly said. Bo wondered what she could be seeing that they did not. "Junebug's right, everyone. It's still winter. Everything would be brown on Earth, too. We're mostly here for the colonists anyway, not for the moon," Waters said. They met their first inhabitants, worker positions who were assigned to construction. Some passed them on the terminal sidewalk, some rode on machinery, some drove heavy equipment. None wore respirators. "All of your phones have been updated with my contact information should you need anything," Alice said, but her tone suggested she did not expect them to need anything. "Please do not hesitate to contact me, for the glory of the administration." With that farewell, she stepped back into the terminal, the automatic doors closing behind her. She removed her respirator as soon as she was inside. Waters stopped a passing worker. "Why aren't you wearing a respirator?" he asked. "Ha!" exclaimed the worker and continued on his way. His face was covered in stubble. He did not seem to have shaved that week. "Those men have not shaved," Waters said with a touch of alarm, pointing at a passing flatbed loaded with long beams. Several different positions rode in the back. Many had credible beards. Tommy pulled his cover a little lower over his face. "I should take you to where you'll be staying," he said. Tommy led them to a complex a few hundred meters away, earning a number of stares, comments, and gestures from worker positions they passed. They kept their heads down. It was already difficult to breathe on Polus, and despite the supplemental oxygen they were receiving, the masks seemed to make it more difficult still. At the complex, several rows of temporary trailers had been laid out in a neat grid, with enough room between for a vehicle to pass to serve as housing for the worker and civil servant positions on site. A combination of foot and vehicle traffic had beaten down most of the vegetation. The remaining gravel and crushed rock served as roads and paths. Grass and vines were abundant around the edges of the trailers where traffic had not taken its toll. The trailers were universally painted the same color, straight from the factory beige with beige trim. "Brown, just like the rest of this place. We're not staying in barracks, are we?" Jazzy asked. "No, you are not," Tommy said. "These are portable trailers manufactured right here on Polus. Inside you will find no bunks. Each trailer is fully equipped. You will have to share, but you won't have to bunk up. These are like houses. They're not bad and much nicer than barracks, believe me." "Where do they get the wood?" Junebug asked. "I didn't see any trees." "No wood. These are 100% synthetic. Most of the material is mined right here," Tommy answered. "There is a forest about 150 miles west of here. You could get wood from there if you wanted, but it would be more hassle than it's worth." "How far is that?" Waters asked. Tommy looked surprised at the question. "What do you mean?" he said. "I mean, how far is 150 miles? I'm surprised the military still uses the outdated and imperial measurements." "It's nautical miles, which we still use," Tommy said. "They're based on the circumference of the planet and work just as well as metric units, since they're based on a fixed standard. And it's about 275 kilometers, give or take, to answer your question." "Even so, I'd appreciate if you would use the metric system when you're around us," Waters said. "I don't think so," Tommy said. Ignoring the shocked look on Waters' face at his curt reply, he continued. You can take those things off now. No one here wears them. And you look ridiculous. Besides, you'll never acclimate. Tommy had just about enough of the respirators. They removed them reluctantly, rubbing and scratching at their heads where the masks had left little lines forming an oval like a picture frame around each face. Waters protested a little, but still removed his respirator. Why have this regulation at all, then? You saw the movie, Tommy said. It's impossible to work in these things for more than a few minutes, though. Most people think Alpha Centauri B was a freak accident, too. Virtually no one believes a group of colonists, most of who just got rounded up, would even be capable of pulling something like that off. You mean resettled, Waters said. Sure, resettled, Tommy said. Wear the mask if you want, but you'll be the only one. Worst of all, you'll miss out on all this fresh air. He was right. The air had a pleasant and crisp feeling to it like a fall morning. They still breathed heavily, though not because of the content of the atmosphere. It was virtually identical to Earth in that regard. They had become winded just walking to the trailers, like they were hiking at altitude. It does feel good to breathe, Junebug said. Much better than the air on the station. Once you're here long enough, you'll like it even more. It makes you feel like you're growing, the way you feel after a good workout, tired but fulfilled, Tommy said. So, if each trailer has 2 bedrooms, does that mean we'll have roommates? Jazzy asked. Correct, Tommy answered, pulling out his phone. You'll be staying 2 to a trailer. Waters and Lee, BB with McDahey, Molly said. McDahey. And June Bike Kim with me, he finished. Junebuck, you said Kim right. Junebug it is, Tommy said. Junebuck let the mistake pass. It was not the first time someone had mispronounced his name, and he knew the lieutenant meant nothing by it. You're staying with us? Junebuck asked. Not that we mind, it's just, well, I guess you are part of the mission now. That's right. I'll be staying with you, eating with you, traveling with you. You'll have to get used to me, especially you, Tommy said, directing the last remark at Junebuck. How do you know you're not staying with me? Junebuck replied. Tommy laughed and smacked Junebuck on the shoulder. Why can't we pick who we stay with? Jazzy asked. I don't see why you can't, Tommy said. These assignments came directly from Mufasa before you arrived. Alice drove up in a train of carts with a worker position. The first cart carried their personal luggage, the second and third carts carried their equipment. Alice, Molly said, will you be staying with us too? Jazzy shot Molly a look that said, shut up. Unfortunately, no, she replied. I have my own trailer elsewhere. Do you have to share a trailer too? Jazzy asked. There are several empty trailers here. Civil servant positions are not permitted to share a trailer with worker positions, so no, I live alone. Do you mean to tell me there are empty trailers all over the place, but we have to share? Jazzy said. We've been cramped up on a spaceship for weeks, just dropped out of the sky, and now we can't stretch our legs a little? I'm sure we could fill out the requisite paperwork to have you assigned to a different trailer if you would prefer one of your own. We will have to wait until the next ship arrives at Polus Station to permit the Wake Carrier Wave relays to transmit your request over the Li-Fi, although the signal here is spotty at the best of times, which may increase your wait time. Once you submit your request, Mufasa's civil servant positions on Earth have up to 60 days to complete processing, at which time they will transmit the response back again at the next opportunity, bearing in mind the aforementioned considerations. Fine, let's do that then, Jazzy said. We're supposed to leave for the colony in a couple days anyway, Waters said. We can manage until then. I'm sure we can make other arrangements in the meantime. Please be careful, Alice said to Junebuck. He was already back at the second cart, dropping and pulling their carefully packed equipment to the ground looking for his gear. Alice stepped down from the lead cart and began going over tags, looking for Junebuck's duffel. Tommy, Bo, and Molly walked over to help while Waters took Jazzy aside to the far corner of the trailer. They spoke in a low, deceptively quiet and intense voice that Bo recognized from when his mom had scolded him in public as a child. Jazzy was better at the voice than Waters. In spite of not being able to hear anything, it was clear she was not pleased with the arrangements. The others just averted their eyes and stacked bags on the gravel. Here's yours, Bo, and here's mine. I'll go get settled, Molly said. Just a moment, Waters said, walking back to the group. He and Jazzy had apparently reached an agreement. Bo, can I talk to you? Bo and Waters walked a short distance away. Jazzy collected her bag and walked up the ramp into the nearest trailer. "Isn't that our trailer?" Bo said. "Well, yes," Waters said. "Look, Bo, I need you to swap with Jazzy." "What? Why? I know you and Jazzy have a thing. Everyone does, but that would be a flagrant violation of both regulation and how Mufasa has chosen to order the mission," Bo said. Waters put his hand on Bo's shoulder and pulled him a little farther from the rest of the group. "I need you to keep this quiet because it's protected health information." "Should you even be telling me then?" "It will help you understand this situation. Jazzy is the mission's doctor, right? Well, Jazzy has been treating Molly since we left Earth, prescribing her meds and everything." "Treating her? For what?" "Jazzy says it's acute depression, a grief reaction due to something that happened to her back home." "Acute? We were in space for weeks." "She said that sometimes even an acute episode can last a long time, especially if the person failed to receive resolution. Because they have a professional treating relationship, it wouldn't be appropriate for them to stay together like that. It's unethical. Their treating relationship is already questionable since we've all become friends on the journey out. Besides, Jazzy needs a break from seeing her patient all the time." That makes sense, Bo had to concede, though he suspected the real motivation was much less noble. "But what do our mission guidelines say about male and female missionaries staying together? What about the relationship policy?" Waters looked a bit uncomfortable. "You know as well as I do no one follows those guidelines. Do you have any idea how many couples come out of missions? And no one's telling you to sleep with Molly." Bo blushed a little, surprised at the comment and taken aback. He liked Molly fine as a colleague, but had never considered her romantically. "I was more worried about you," Bo said. "There are 2 bedrooms. It will be fine for both of us," Waters said. "Come on, Bo. I can't ask Junebug to swap because of Lieutenant Atkins. It's already clear I don't have any real authority over him, even though he's part of the mission now." Bo was silent for a moment. He felt like a sucker, especially after walking the length of the space station searching for Molly. He relented anyway. "All right." "Thanks," Waters said. "I'll owe you one later." "You're welcome," Bo replied sarcastically. Waters grinned back at him and went to grab his duffel bag from the cart. "You'll tell Molly, won't you?" "Me? That's your job," Bo called back, but Waters was already on his way through the trailer door. Bo turned around and saw Molly still unloading the carts. At least she was not already unpacking. "Molly, hey, we need to change the trailer assignments. You're going to share with me instead of Jazzy. There's 2 bedrooms, so it should be okay." Waters said. "Great," Molly interrupted. "What?" Bo said. "I said that's fine." "Oh," Bo said, confused but relieved. Molly kept unloading the carts. "I guess I'll start moving things in then. Which bag is yours?" Molly picked up one of the large duffels and tossed it at Bo. It struck him with more force than it had a right to. "Sheesh, what did you pack?" "You know, all things according to regulation. The bricks and rocks are Mufasa standard and everything." Bo wasn't sure how to respond, so he grabbed his bag, which seemed unaccountably lighter, and walked through the trailer door.